I'll fix that. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 5th agenda meeting of South Plainfield Mayor and Council. This meeting has been advertised in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6, with adequate notice of this meeting being provided to the borough's 2 official newspapers and also published on the borough's website. Ms. Antonides, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, Councilman Benjavanga?
Here.
Councilwoman Mott?
Here.
Councilman Smith?
Here.
Councilman White?
Here.
Councilman Bullock?
Here.
Council President Faustini?
Here.
Thank you. Can you take us through a review of tonight's agenda, please?
Yes, this evening there are no matters on for closed session. We have the approval of council minutes for September 21st. There are 5 proclamations on this evening, 5 resolutions, 1 other correspondence, and payment of bills totaling $624,286.06. Council reports, and we conclude with public comment. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Council comments on agenda items?
None.
None.
Nothing.
Nothing, Mayor.
Okay, seeing.
One thing, Mayor, you can just separate the resolution for the, what's this? 267.
Okay. Okay, anything else? Okay, we have no executive session for tonight. At this point, we'll open it up for council or public comments on agenda items only. Again, your lines are muted upon entry. If you'd like to make a comment, you can unmute your line. If you're on the WebEx, just select the red microphone with the line through it. That'll unmute your line. If you're on the phone only line, *6 should unmute your line. At this point, we'll open it up for public comments on agenda items only. Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public portion. At this point, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn tonight's agenda meeting.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman White, seconded by Councilwoman Faustini. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are adjourned. Seeing no reason to delay, we'll go right to the public meeting. Again, this meeting has been advertised in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6, with adequate notice of this meeting also being provided to the borough's 2 official newspapers and published on the borough's website. Ms. Antonides, will you call the roll once more?
Councilman Benjavanga?
Here.
Councilwoman Mott?
Here.
Councilman Smith?
Here.
Councilman White?
Here.
Councilman Bullock?
Here.
And Council President Faustini?
Here.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation by Councilwoman Mott. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, we ask that you keep all South Plainfield residents, employees, our families, and our friends safe and healthy. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, at this point, we'll open it up once again for public comments on agenda items only. Again, you can unmute yourself with the red microphone or *6 on the audio only line. State your name. Once you are recognized, proceed with your address and proceed with your comment. Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Can I get a motion for the approval of council minutes September 21st, 2020, agenda and public?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman White, seconded by Councilman Woloch. Ms. Antonides, can you call the roll, please?
Councilman Benjavanga?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mott?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
I was absent at that meeting.
Okay, so recuse. Councilman White?
Yes.
Councilman Bullock?
Yes.
And Council President Faustini?
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. We have 5 proclamations on for tonight. The first is 2020 Mischief Night and Halloween. And whereas the children of the borough of South Plainfield are entitled to the fun and festivity associated with the observance of the Halloween trick-or-treat custom, that is going from door to door in the immediate neighborhoods, displaying their costumes and requesting treats. And whereas the increasing possibility of accidents is an ever-present threat. And whereas the night before Halloween, Friday, October 30th, 2020, is known as Mischief Night and has been traditionally a night when childish pranks have been played. Some have said pranks have resulted in physical harm to others, as well as damage to automobiles and properties of innocent owners. Now, therefore, I, Matthew Pienish, Mayor of the Borough of South Plainfield, do hereby proclaim that a curfew of 7 p.m. on Mischief Night, Friday, October 30th, 2020, be imposed and enforced for all minor residents of the borough to protect residents and their properties. And I further proclaim Saturday, October 31st, 2020, as Trick-or-Treat Day in the borough, with all trick-or-treat activities to be conducted between the hours of noon and 7 p.m. pursuant to local ordinance. And I also ask that young children be accompanied by parents or other responsible adults. I further request that households indicate their willingness to welcome children by keeping their porch lights or exterior lights on, and that youngsters only call on homes so lighted. I encourage the cooperation of all citizens, young and old, in making this a happy and safe occasion for all children. I further request that because there have been in recent years incidents of children receiving and consuming articles of food or candy that have been tampered with by the inclusion of dangerous items, controlled dangerous substances, and poisons, that these incidents have been highly publicized when discovered. It is a recommendation of this office that parental supervision be extended to include the insistence that children do not consume any treats until closely examined by their parents. It is further advised that all parents follow the rule, if in doubt, throw it out, where any evidence of tampering with packaging or services of consumable products exists. So this is a special year, as goes without saying, but at this point, as evidenced by our proclamation tonight, we will have trick-or-treating within the borough of South Plainfield. The only instance where that would be prevented is if Governor Murphy decides to put further limitations or outright bans Halloween. In that instance, there will be further notification from the governing body. The second is Breast Cancer Awareness Night, and Ms. Dispenzeri from our local organization here in town, Pink Socks, unfortunately is not able to attend tonight, but she has done so for the last number of years. Whereas October 2020 marks more than 30 years that National Breast Cancer Awareness Month has educated women about early breast cancer detection, and whereas the National Breast Cancer Awareness Month is dedicated to increasing public knowledge about the importance of early detection of breast cancer by collaborating with several national public service organizations, professional associations, and government agencies who work together to ensure that the National Breast Cancer Awareness Month message is heard by thousands of women and their families. And whereas the American Cancer Society estimates that in the United States, more than 226,870 new cases of invasive breast cancer will be diagnosed in women this year, and whereas the American Cancer Society estimates that in the United States, more than 2,190 new cases of invasive breast cancer will be diagnosed in men this year. And whereas through research and advocacy, significant advances have been made in the fight against breast cancer, including significant decreases in mortality, and whereas the 2.9 million breast cancer survivors living in the United States today are a testament to the courage as well as the importance of promoting awareness about breast cancer, providing information, funding research, following recommended screening guidelines, and offering treatment to those who are affected. Now, therefore, I, Matthew Pienish, Mayor of the Borough of South Plainfield, do hereby proclaim October 2020 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and ask that all citizens join us in this worthwhile cause to celebrate successes and memorialize lost battles. It's also Dyslexia Awareness Month. And whereas dyslexia is a language-based learning ability that causes difficulties with reading, writing, spelling, and word pronunciation, and whereas the onset of severity of dyslexia varies for each individual, and whereas because it takes individuals with dyslexia longer to process phonemic information, the disability directly affects academic growth, achievement, and self-esteem. And whereas it is important to provide effective teaching approaches and related clinical educational intervention strategies for individuals with dyslexia, and whereas Dyslexia Awareness Month is an opportunity to acknowledge educators specializing in effective teaching strategies and to celebrate the many achievements of adolescents, students, and adults with dyslexia. Now, therefore, I, Matthew Pienish, Mayor of the Borough of South Plainfield, do hereby proclaim October 2020 as Dyslexia Awareness Month in our borough and call this observance to the attention of all our citizens.
Yeah, I would just
Sure.
like to say a few words and thank the mayor and council for bringing this proclamation forward. I do have someone in my family who is afflicted or, has dyslexia and works with it every day. And I just want to say that I've noticed a lot more awareness. As a matter of fact, at Grant School, the 6th grade class is currently reading a book called A Fish in a Tree, which basically means if you judge a fish by the way that it can climb a tree, the fish and everyone around it would think that the fish was not intelligent. Meanwhile, you're just judging its ability on something it really isn't meant to do. So the message here is really for dyslexics can translate to anyone who is a little bit different than everyone else and maybe doesn't fit in quite the same way as everyone else is at the time, is that everybody still has their own individual intelligences and talents, and you just have to embrace whatever gifts you've been given. And with that, thank you.
Thank you, Council President. It's also Italian Heritage Month in the borough, October 2020. Whereas Italian and Italian American Heritage Month is an appropriate time to recognize the enormous contributions that the Italian and Italian American people have made to this country and the world throughout our history. And whereas Italian and Italian American Heritage Month is held to salute the Italian and Italian American communities and to exhibit appreciation for their culture and their heritage that have enriched the lives of people around the world. And whereas today there are over 26 million Americans of Italian descent in the United States, of which 2 million reside here in New Jersey and have made significant contributions to our social, cultural, and economic life. And whereas Italian and Italian American community enjoys a rich history rooted in an ancient civilization that has had a most profound influence on every aspect of our society. And whereas the Plainfield's chapter of UNICO is a valuable service organization of community-minded men and women of Italian American heritage who engage in many charitable works, support higher education, and perform patriotic deeds in South Plainfield. And whereas the month of October has traditionally been a time of celebration in the Italian American culture and a time to honor those of Italian ancestry. Now, therefore, I, Matthew P. Anesh, Mayor of the Borough of South Plainfield, do hereby declare October 2020 as Italian Heritage Month and encourage all residents to join in recognizing the contributions made by people of Italian ancestry who have had such a profound influence on our lives and the world. And last, but certainly not least, is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And whereas domestic violence among women, children, and men continues to be more prevalent as a social problem in our society, and whereas the problems of domestic violence are not confined to any group or groups of people, but across all economic, racial, and societal barriers, and are supported by societal indifference. And whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity, due to systematic use of physical, emotional, verbal, sexual, psychological, and economic control and/or abuse, with the impact of this crime being wide-ranging. And whereas with leadership, dedication, and encouragement, there is a compelling evidence that we can be successful in reducing domestic and sexual violence in Middlesex County through prevention education focused on increasing gender equality and bystander intervention, increased awareness, and holding perpetrators who commit acts of violence responsible for their actions. And whereas throughout the month of October, we strongly support the efforts of national, state, and local partners and of every citizen to actively engage in public and private efforts, including conversations about what domestic and sexual violence is, how to prevent it, how to help survivors connect with services, and how every segment of our society can work together to better address domestic and sexual violence. Now, therefore, I, Matthew P. Anesh, Mayor of the Borough of South Plainfield, do hereby proclaim October 2020 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the Borough of South Plainfield and encourage everyone to join anti-domestic and sexual violence advocates and support service programs in the belief that all community members must be part of the solution to end such violence. And normally we have several groups that accept all these. I know, as mentioned, UNICO accepts that, and we do have a domestic violence team here in town that also accepts that. So I know pretty soon we'll be back to normal, and we'll make sure that representatives from those organizations get copies of those proclamations. Can I get a motion for Resolution 20-267?
So,
Second?
Motion by Councilman White, seconded by Councilwoman Mott. Ms. Antonides, can you call the roll?
Councilman Benjavenda?
Recuse as they are correct in front of them, I support.
Councilman
Yes.
Councilman Mott,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman White,
Yes.
Councilman Bullock,
Yes.
and Council President Faustini.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. Can I also get a motion for resolutions 20-264 through 266, 268 through 278?
Motion.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Wolak, seconded by Councilman Benjavanga. Ms. Antonides, can you call the roll?
Councilman Benjavanga,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mott,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman White,
Yes.
Councilman Bullock,
Yes.
Council President Faustini.
Yes.
Passes 6-0.
Thank you. Can I get a motion for the correspondence recycling monthly report for August 2020?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Smith, seconded by Councilman White. Ms. Antonides, can you call the roll?
Councilman Benjavanga,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mott,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman White,
Yes.
Councilman Bullock,
Yes.
and Council President Faustini.
Yes.
Passes 6-0.
Thank you. Can I get a motion for payment of the bills of $624,286.06?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman White, seconded by Councilwoman Mott. Ms. Antonides, can you call the roll?
Councilman Benjavanga,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mott,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman White,
Yes.
Councilman Bullock,
Yes.
Council President Faustini.
Yes.
Passes 6-0.
Sorry, Amy, can we just correct that second to Council President Faustini?
Got it.
Very
Thank you.
good. Thanks.
Mr. Rizzo, anything for us tonight?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor. Progress.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Cullen.
Yes, Mayor, I just wanted to mention that we're going to be submitting our second application to Middlesex County for CARES Act funds. And so far all the departments have been very, very helpful. Our first submittal has already been reimbursed. And we're already starting the 2021 budget process. And with that progress.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Miller.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. A quick update on the road projects is the contractor is working on earthwork at Corporate and Crangwood. That should be done shortly. And also the contractor at Clark Lane is installing curbs and handicap ramps now. So both projects are moving ahead with that progress.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Ms. Antonides.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just real quick, as you may be aware, the ballots for the election have all been distributed by the county. And I just want to point out that if anybody has not received their ballot as of yet, feel free to contact the county at 732-745-4202, extension 0. Again, that is 732-745-4202, extension 0. And the county is asked to please be patient. Their phone lines are inundated right now, as you can imagine. But just keep trying, and somebody will take your call, and they will work out any ballot issues you may have. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
I actually have a quick question for
Sure.
Amy, if that's okay. Amy, quick question for you. I had a question from a resident with disabilities as to how they can go to the polling place and vote on the machine. What exactly do they need to bring with them, or do they need to pre-register? What do they need to do?
They don't really need to bring anything with them. I mean, I guess it's always good to have ID in case the book is flagged and requires an ID. Other than that, they will have to fill out a certification form of their disability that would prevent them from voting on the paper ballot and they would be certifying that their disability requires them to have assistance utilizing the machine.
So they actually need to have assistance to use the machine. So it's,
Yeah,
is
the
it,
county
it's
has
so vague, that's why.
prepared.
Mhm.
The poll workers have a statement prepared that they will, have to read off to, somebody who has a disability. And if the, voter, acknowledges that their disability requires assistance, then they will fill out a form and proceed to vote on the machine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Anything else?
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman White.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to congratulate Matthew warmly and his family as Matthew achieved the rank of Eagle Scout with Troop 207 this weekend, and wish him all the greatest success as he moves forward and continues to make decisions as he grows up. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Wallach.
Progress, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Smith.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, first of all, I'd like to thank the mayor and council for participating in the town cleanup this past weekend. It was very successful. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, that we had so much garbage along our streets, we had many bags throughout the borough. But I want to thank everyone that was involved in participating in this and keeping our community clean. As far as the environmental committees, we are still trying to draw up a resolution pertaining to the bamboo issue we have in town. And once we have that complete, we will present it to the mayor and council for approval. The Green Team is still looking to finalize the resolutions for the solar-friendly sustainable New Jersey. And we're looking forward to that. And I have to contact our borough planner or engineer and see if they're going to be attending the storm water management webinar. That's October 15th. It seems that there's some changes, and it wants to know if what the storm water management rules means to our town. With that, Mayor, progress.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Mott.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to also thank all who participated in litter cleanup day this past Saturday. Collectively, I just recently spoke to Dr. Temple. We cleaned 21 locations around town. Our final bag count numbers aren't in yet, but it was definitely a great success, and it has made a very noticeable difference. I'm sure everybody has noticed a huge difference there. Dr. Temple had also mentioned that we do have several Adopt-A-Spot locations available, so if anyone is interested, Dr. Temple can be reached at 908-226-7621. And I would also like to congratulate Matthew Warmley with Boy Scout Troop number 207 in achieving the highest achievement of Eagle Scout. What a great accomplishment, so congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Benjavanga.
Progress, Mayor.
Thank you. Council President Faustini.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple things going on in recreation. We have field hockey and soccer programs going on in the turf field on nights and weekends. Also, a multi-sport program is running for a little bit younger kids. The program allows them to try different sports. This way they can sample a little bit of everything before diving in. The senior center is running classes outdoors on the turf field 5 days a week. Each day the time varies, as well as the activity. Different types of yoga and Zumba are available. And I'd also like to announce that we are also hosting the South Plainfield Public Celebrations Committee, a trunk or treat event on Halloween itself as well. Sorry, this mic keeps acting up. The event will be held in Veterans Park from 1 to 4 p.m. There will be sign-ups, and then you'll be able to stay within your group, and the groups will be spaced out so everybody stays a safe social distance apart. And also the cars will be placed, in a certain arrangement so that people aren't overlapping. There'll be one-way traffic, and there'll be plenty of volunteers. It will be no-touch handout. Each candy will be handed out with, I think they're called tongs, from a bowl directly into the bag. So, you can be secure if you're not comfortable 100% with trick-or-treating, or you want to attend this too. You know, we're just kind of giving you options, and all candy will be purchased and prepared to be handed out by the committee, so you know exactly where everything's coming from. And that will be, again, 1 to 4 on Halloween, and more information will be coming. And with that, progress.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to have everybody remain vigilant. I'm sure if you've been following through on the Borough Facebook page and Twitter and the Borough website, you've seen we've creeped up a little over the last number of weeks in cases. We are now are at a total of 645, 2 in the last 24 hours, but still with a very low single digit, I think 2 or 3 3-day moving average for cases. So again, that's I think a testament to all the vigilance and the efforts that are being done throughout our community. But clearly, as we start to approach flu season and we get deeper into the fall, we start seeing more activities, including hybrid school opening up, everybody should remain vigilant that we're not out of the woods yet. And just as I'm sure everybody has seen, the president has contracted COVID. So even somebody with that layer of testing and prevention, it can still reach you. So just again, remember, wash your hands, avoid touching your face, all the things that we're preaching and reminding our residents to do in the very onset of this. We should continue doing those very things throughout the fall and into the winter. While Borough Hall is almost operating at a normal pace, again, you're not going to see any great changes to what we're doing so far today. So again, we are going to keep the protocols in place that we have, and we encourage our employees, anybody visiting Borough Hall or any borough facility, again, to adhere to the protocols that we put in place, and those do include wearing a face mask upon entering the building. With that, I will turn it over, actually I'll open it up to the public for any public comments, anything on your mind tonight. Again, what I would remind you is if you are on the WebEx, you should see a red microphone with a line across that. You can click that red microphone, unmute yourself. If you're on the phone-in only line, you can hit *6 to unmute yourself. State your name. Once you are recognized by the borough clerk, proceed with your address, and then proceed with your question. At this point, we'll open it up for public comments. Anything on your mind? Oh, I'm sorry. We do have one individual in here that does our taping. Ms. Boyle.
Deputy Boyle Van Fleet. I am the secretary to Plainfield's chapter of Unico, and on behalf of President Bob Benjavanga Sr., I sent an email out to Mayor Council Glenn Cullen, the Chief of Police, Congressman Pallone, Senator Dygnan, the Chief of the Fire Department. Unico is hosting a very small gathering in front of the Senior Center on Monday at 10:30 for the placement of the wreath. It'll be social distancing with masks, so if anybody would like to attend, it'll be very short, no refreshments. Also, the South Plainfield High School Athletic Booster Club is hosting a used clothing drive on Saturday, October 31st, and Sunday, November 1st. The truck will be up in the big lot of the high school, between the high school and the middle school, accepting bagged clothing, ties, that type of items, no books, no toys. And it's between the hours of 7 a.m. and 4 o'clock p.m. Just have to drop your bag. There won't be a gathering. Just leave the bag. If you don't want to put it in the truck, leave it on the ground. We'll load it in. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, it's Nancy Grenier, 1317 Yearville Drive. Hello all, I missed you.
Hello, Nancy.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Nancy. Thank you.
I have two questions. One is Amy. I've had people call me every day of the week about voting. If my husband and I fill out our form and we want to bring it to Borough Hall, do we both have to bring it, or can he bring it for me? Will that be legal?
You question. Nancy, You can bring it and put it in a Dropbox for your husband. You can do that. If you were going to the polling location on election day with your mail-in ballot, you can only bring your own.
Okay,
Yeah, because you'll have to sign a book,
okay.
if you're going to the polling location. But if you're just putting it in a Dropbox, you can bring your husband.
I've had a few calls about that. Okay, all right. My second question is, trick or treat night, are you encouraging people on trick or treat night to go out? I don't really know how safe this is going to be. I don't know.
I wouldn't say,
I don't want 17 kids coming up to my door and grabbing into a bag of candy. I don't know.
yeah, so the governor has put some guidelines out there. He has, said that you shouldn't have a bucket, a big bowl of candy out there to have communal people gathering in. You should figure that out and do something that's different from that. Are we encouraging it? I don't know that we're encouraging it. We're leaving it open for residents to make a decision upon, their own behalf and their children's behalf as well. So that also goes with you deciding to give out candy. So again, clearly as it gets a little bit darker in the evening, you can simply leave your porch light off. I would say that if you're not going to be providing candy or to trick-or-treaters throughout the lunchtime hours and before dark, you could probably put something on your door, just indicating that, that you're not providing, candy for Halloween, so that you're not having your doorbell ring, a gazillion times. But because the governor has allowing it, we are not going in there and taking that additional step and saying that you can't do it. Pretty much from the beginning of this pandemic, we've been following with the guidance from, again, not just the CDC and the President's task force, but everything that the federal government and that the governor's office is pushing on down. So clearly, if the governor decides that that something changes over the next however many days, 26 days or so, and that trick-or-treating is not going to be allowed, obviously we're going to update residents and we will not be participating. But as long as the governor deems that there is a safe method to do that, we are going to give residents the opportunity to do that. So I think what it boils down to is you got to make your own choice. My guess and my belief would be that if you are an individual that are in a high-risk category, or you live with individuals that are in a high-risk category, it's probably not the smartest thing to be answering your door and greeting strangers. But again, we'll leave that up to individuals. And again, the same thing goes along the line. If you're a high-risk category, you're probably not anyway, no matter what the borough says you can do, you're probably not going to go walking out and doing that as well. I think there are some precautions that you can take. We'll put some further information out that highlights what the governor's office has suggested based on the guidance from the State Department of Health. I encourage all of our residents to follow that. We will publish that information, but it's also available on the state's COVID-19 site as well for you to take a look at the guidance that's already in place.
All right, I'll look it up and we'll publish it.
Yes, thank you.
One more thing to say, I'd like to thank Debbie Boyle and Tom Stillman for spending 2.5 hours Saturday on the overpass on behalf of the South Plainfield Business Association, filling 6 large bags. Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah, I think I saw her a couple times going back and forth, so.
Yeah, we saw them out there.
Good job, Debbie.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Nancy. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, not really seeing any either. We're going to close the public portion. At this point, we'll ask for a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
So move.
Second?
Motion by Councilman White, seconded by Councilwoman Mott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are adjourned for the evening. Have a good evening, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Remain safe.